I won't take up too much more of your time. But these two lines, Anvayat and Itara, the forward and the backward, are found everywhere in the divine Leela of the Lord. Everywhere. In Vrindavan there are found to be so many demons, but the demons are actually helping to praise the glories of the Lord. In this plane there is the Mayavad example I was going for, and then the Sahaja line, and so on and so forth. That is also in the backward pushing current. And then so many good friends come to the feet of that great Gurudev, the great ambassador of Mahaprabhu, and then sadly they all again seem to regress again. Many seem to regress again. Old habits, old weeds, hippie seeds or something, as Prabhupada used to say, again sprout, and the whole thing seems to be devastated, like Noah's Ark or something. Still, we cannot neglect the call of our Gurudev and Mahaprabhu, and history repeats itself, and it's always been this way, and it will continue to be this way as long as we're residing in this plane of misconception where by the Lord's sweet will all these creation, Tejo Vari Mridang Yasha, Jata Vinimayo Jatru Tisargo Amasha, by the trimodal, trimodal creation, water, air, earth, all the juxtaposition of all these elements are bewildering us into thinking that our prospect of life is found in pleasures which are relished by the stool eaters. It is natural that these things will occur, but they should not discourage us in continuing the great mission of our Gurudev to benedict the entire world with Krishna consciousness. And some moral principles also should not deter us if we could appreciate the great beauty of Vaishnavism. Baladev Vidyabhushana Prabhu, we are told, has mentioned that the great Goswamis, their descriptions of the Supreme Lord, of Radha Govinda, are just like the holding of a beautiful jewel which is turned in different angles, and on those different angles, those different perceptual commentaries on the beauty and wonderful divine qualities of the Lord have been expressed by those great Goswamis. That has given new light at every turn, new beauty, new light, new attraction, and new radiance, ever new, Navanavayaman, ever fresh, Navayovanam, ever youthful and ever attractive. And that is also to be found in our Gurudev. So, in the purports of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is also significant that Srila Prabhupada, directly translating the purports from Bengali of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, has given direct slander of the Sahaja line, Sahaja Sampradaya. I'm aware that in these countries we are not so aware of the ramifications of the Prakrita Sahaja tendency, but in India it's been rampant even at the time of the departure of Jiva Goswami. It is told that when Jiva Goswami was present in Vrindavan and UP, he used to communicate with many disciples by letter, and at that time no one would dare to preach Vaishnavism contrary to the high standard which was necessary in the presence of a great Acharya such as he. No one could and no one would dare to do so. But it's told that as soon as he departed from the mortal plane, as soon as he wound up his manifest Leela, that suddenly they all arose again. They all rose up. And it's also, then they were in turn corrected by other great representatives, Baladev, Vishwanath Baladev and so on. And then after them, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared, the very same thing had happened. So he also, with his literature and his great fortitude as a representative of Mahaprabhu, he also clear the environment. And that was even done in a more radical way by his followers. So now we find that these tendencies will be introduced into the Western world after the apparent withdrawal of our illustrious Gurudev from the manifest plane. And therefore it will be our duty directly to continue in whatever status we may be in Varna or Ashram. It's not the consideration, but it will be our duty to maintain the dignity of what he has presented by presenting it accurately, clearly, and ourselves faithfully answering to his call. And it's told that when the flute blew, that the milk boiled over and everyone forgot everything and no one knew how to conduct their daily affairs. They had to go, all the residents of Vrindavan had to go to the call of the flute. We have heard in a commentary on the Gayatri Mantra from Srila Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, which also harmonizes with the commentary of Jiva Goswami, that the flute of the Lord, when it is interpreted here, when it comes here, it may be taken as Gayatri Mantra. But that flute sound, in its purest form here, is the sound of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtana. And that connection for the sadhaka is through Gayatri Mantra. So, if we continue to neglect the call of the call, kartal, mridanga kartal, that is something like neglecting the flute of Lord Krishna. So, I therefore, as Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur once told, Dante nidhaya tinakam karayor nipatya ka kushatam mahametad bravimi he sadhava sakalameva vihaya durat chaitanya chandra charane kurutam ragam. He told, with a straw in my mouth I fall at your feet, and with the most imploring tone possible I request my friends, hey sadhava, you are a great saint, you are a great saint, and you know so many things, but I'm only requesting one thing in this mood, sakalam eva vihaya durat, please forget everything you have learnt, chaitanya chandra charane kurutanuraga, and simply awaken your divine affection, attraction for the charm of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's holy lotus feet. This will be our only possibility. Guru Gauranga, we always tell, first, all glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga. Then afterwards, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vrindavan, conception, Krishna conception, all these things may be possible. Otherwise we are told we cannot approach directly. It will be a havoc. It will be a havoc, just as though swallowing the ocean of poison. Lord Shiva attempted. He did so. He retained it. But if we attempt, everything will be lost. Naitat samacharet manasapi janishara jatu vinasyati. Everything is destroyed. Jata rudram abdam jitam visham. Rudra abdidam visham. Everything will be absolutely lost. So either hearing or speaking, both ways. Generally we only hear that we should not speak about high things. But in those verses it said that we should neither speak nor hear of these things unless we have got the correct prerequisite Shraddha, the Ado Shraddha, that magical thing which brought us to the feet of our Gurudev from the beginning. Automatic faith, Shraddha. Then Anushanuyad, hearing from the proper personality, and Dhira, that we may not mistake the highest things, which seem to be very much like the lowest things. Prakritavat, Jiva Goswami has given us. They seem to be just like the dealings of this world, but they are not the dealings of this world. Prakritavat, natu prakritam. So we are more interested in the aprakrita sahaja, that the divine, those who have natural residence in the divine atmosphere. So I want to just close my talk on this one thing. Our Gurudev always used to say, those who have got life, they can preach. Quoting a song of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that same song, Prano achetara se hetu prachara. But what really is that life? I considered for many, many years, as I'm sure so many of our beloved friends have done, many, many years. Then I had the great fortune to find that song recently and to go through it with a little detail. So prior to that verse, in the beginning of that verse, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta has stated, Brajabasigan pracharaka dhan, pratishta vikuktara nahi shobha. Those who got life, what is the reference here? He says that those who are preachers, the very treasure of the preacher is the residence of Braja, Brajavasigan, Pracharaka Dhan. The real treasure of the preacher is Vrindavan conception. And he says, those who have nothing to have in this world, no prospect in this world, they are not corpses, but they have the life, the backing of Vrindavan. Then he says, Prana asetar sehetu prasha, Krishna gata bole pratishtahin eishav. That they have that life to sing the song of Lord Krishna, to preach Hari Kirtan, Srimad Bhagavatam, and all these things, without a trace of vainglory, without desiring any remuneration. As Prabhupada used to say, preaching is a thankless task. So without any remuneration, they have life, they have got conception, Braja conception. That is the life. Not merely that we can sleep 35 minutes out of 23, or that we take ice cold showers at 1 o'clock in the morning and become very sick in our old age. And another thing I wanted to say was, in this way, it seems to me that so many friends have been thinking that actually sadhana means to have good health. If I can wake up early in the morning, then I can do my sadhana. But I found another thing, a very nice thing. It is told in Charitamrita, Bhakta pada dhuli aro bhakta pada jo, bhakta avashesh etin sadhanirabhav. That the dust of the holy feet of a devotee, the remnant on the plate of a true devotee, and the water which has washed the feet of a true devotee. These three things are the very life force of sadhana. That we have counted, that we have showered, that we have risen, that we have slept, that we have followed, that we have done so many things. Should our credit drag down the Absolute, the Infinite Lord, Janmadhyasyato Anvayad, from whom the whole creation is issuing, being maintained by, and ultimately winding up in. Should it drag him down because we have counted today 16, or tomorrow 32, or the next day 3? Should he be dragged down? Even in Charitamrita we find that only one name of Krishna, Eko Krishna Nam Sarva Papa Koi, that all sin is finished by one pure name of the Lord. So everything depends on the holy grace, sanction, wish, and whim of our Gurudev. If he wishes, he can bless us for this great mission. So at your feet I also wanted to make this submission. Pray to your feet that if we can continue these great things, this great work, however puny we may be, as we have tried so much in the past, but if we can go on as our Gurudev would would appreciate, always appreciated and will appreciate at this very second, then I think our coming into your good company will have some fruit, have some value. We will not simply be like, as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, we do not want to be like the caste Goswami gurus who visit their disciples once a year and only leave them the water which washed their feet. We are very anxious not to be like that. We're very anxious that all these wonderful things which our Gurudev came to give us, came to deliver, although guarded, that the very thing which he wanted to give us will not be defaced, will not have mud thrown in the face of by unscrupulous jackals and wolves who struggle and rush to occupy the seat of the representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I spoke so long.
Any questions? Any quarter?
Or any corrections? Today we had a little sankirtan in the street here, and we were only about 6 people. I do not know tomorrow whether we're staying or not. If we do, maybe we may have the company of our friends. I do not know. Can consider.
I have a question about preaching the conception of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this might have something to do with the upcoming book. I've heard of a book called The Golden Volcano that should be coming out. How does one present the conception of Sri Chaitanya to the Western countries where the idea of a sannyas, of renunciation, is not easily met with?
Prahlad Prabhu. Perhaps you would like to.
Prahlad nice speak all the time.
Once Srila Prabhupada wrote an article called The Sri Chaitanya Sannyas and Sankirtan Movement. It was never published, at least under that title. So, how does one present such things? Well, as he did, we may not be able to imitate. That's a fact. As Srila Prabhupada presented in such a wide, uncompromising, powerful, and all-embracing, all-expansive, all-merciful anyone, everyone, just come, come, we may not be able to imitate that. It may mean something like swallowing the ocean of poison. But whatever we can do, we shall have to go on in any respect, however we can, but still conforming to his standard at least. At least conforming to his standard. We shall have to present according to the digestion. We can only give dishes which a person can digest. If we come to Raghupati Prabhu's house and he gives us so many wonderful things he has cooked, and the next day we fall sick because we cannot digest all those things. We will have to take according to our capabilities of digestion. So similarly, if we want to feed these wonderful nectarine things, Mahaprabhu, all these things, Prabhupada, Srila Sri Dharma, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, we shall have to administer, we shall have to give. Not too much ghee on the plate and all these things. We shall have to give fitting proportion, if you like, dosage. We shall have to give nicely so that the digestion of those new friends will not become diarrhea, that they will not be damaged. Their delicate stomachs, digestive capacity will not be damaged harshly by so many strictures. At the same time, although we may have to show lenience, it does not mean thereby that we will adulterate by saying, anything goes in the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we do become lenient to a larger degree to accommodate other friends, newer friends, we shall have to take responsibility personally to make the adjustment later on. It will be our responsibility. Yes, Maharaj. Now you kindly enlighten us.
I just wanted to say also that I have some small faith that actually, by hearing of the sannyas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is what will draw the people of the Western world through affection into a connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mm-hmm. We find in that Leela that this drew out the deepest sort of affection that his devotees could ever experience by his taking sannyas. That and through this way he drew them into the plane of divine separation, of divine love. So it's of course considered a tragedy by those devotees, the real devotees of Mahaprabhu. But sometimes Srila Sridhar says, quoting the poet Shelley, that the sweetest songs are those that tell of the saddest thoughts. So there is some sort of irresistible charm and sweetness to this pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I think that by his inconceivable will, he's exhibited such pastimes actually to charm everyone in the world. And as Maharaj was saying, quoting Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he had that same confidence that regardless of what anyone's position was, their education, intellect, social, climate, culture, whatever, he had that faith that just turn your attention towards the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his pastimes. And that was his only request, because he knew that they'll come in connection with something that's so charming that it's irresistible, and some deep affection within them will be aroused in sympathy, and they'll get a connection with Mahaprabhu, and then, as Maharaj was saying, ultimately, and Krishna Lila as well. So from a superficial point of view, it may seem to be something that should be shied away from. But on a deeper look, we'll find something, a wonderful substance there. But that will remain to be seen when the golden volcano of divine love is published.
When it erupts.
Yeah.
Of course, it's always erupting. But to the vision of we, teeny souls of the borderland plain.
And also, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, and what will be given there as an epilogue after this tragic portrayal of the sannyas of Mahaprabhu. He prays, but in a very high way. He, as when Krishna left Mathura, left Vrindavan for Mathura, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan were overwhelmed in separation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes himself as one of the inhabitants of Navadip Srivasangam, and he prays, when will Mahaprabhu again return to his former position? But by that he doesn't mean in any external way. Well, formerly he was a householder, now he's taken sannyas. This is horrible. When will he again become a householder? But he makes reference to when he was with us, we were engaged in this wonderful Sankirtan. We're told sometimes of the rasa kirtans of Mahaprabhu, a level of kirtan that is beyond our conception. But they were accustomed to perform such kirtans in the presence of Mahaprabhu. And so they're saying, when will you come back and we can again dance and sing together in that joyous Sankirtan that we knew when you were here? So together, it's the devotees, they're not lamenting that he's given up family life, but that they somehow lost his transcendental association.
I shouldn't really say anything, but in regard to what Prahlad was asking, the real attitude of sannyas, I understand from Bhagavad Gita and similar scriptures, is that it's actually an attitude toward the energy of the Lord. That if one wants, a real sannyasi sees everything as Krishna's, and everything should be engaged in Krishna's service, including himself, his mind, his body, his words, everything. It's actually an attitude. And that's confirmed in Bhakti Vinod's writings and his songs and everything, that Grihe Tako, Bhane Tako, Sada Hari Bole Tako. And that also, for people in general to understand about Lord Chaitanya's, therefore, sannyas approach to existence is not so much a matter of formally taking sannyas ashram as being in reality of that attitude toward everything. And that also, as Bhakti Vinod hints in that same Sada Hari Bole Tako, and there's also Prabhupada writes in the purports of the same first volume, that for this day and age, if programs can be arranged where people in general can be brought into an atmosphere where they can be encouraged to chant and dance, and hear and chant and dance to the holy names of the Lord, everybody in that association, Prabhupada points out, will feel the presence of Lord Krishna and become more faithful and more faithful. And everybody also, from the most advanced devotee down to the neophyte devotee, will find the same Sankirtan new, fresh, and more interesting, and more satisfying, and more realization will come all through, more in process. That the real heart and soul of Lord Chaitanya's nature and his movement is Sankirtan, and especially congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So really, everything we do should be centered on that motivation for ourselves and for others. Of course you know that. Everybody's, in fact, you're going out and doing Sankirtan in the street, and that attitude of chanting, dancing, and encouraging other people to do the same thing is the heart and soul of Lord Chaitanya's movement. And if people are brought into that, it can be, of course, done more and more finely, and the understanding of the pure consciousness will go higher and higher, and the conversations amongst devotees will become more and more enlivening and enlightening. but also the people in general can be made, therefore, by getting a taste for Krishna. People, attachment for Krishna and detachment from Maya are one and the same thing. The primary way from this age is by chanting and dancing and taking Krishna prasad.
Yeah. When Kesava Bharati Maharaj at that sannyas of Mahaprabhu came to what will be his sannyas name, will it be Bharati or Giri, Ashram, Aranya, what sort of name should he be given? And the name came Sri Krishna Chaitanya, because you're doing this to give Krishna Chaitanya or Krishna consciousness to everyone. So there is no other name that could be given than Krishna Chaitanya, which means Krishna consciousness. That was a favorite expression of Srila Prabhupada. He introduced that terminology, Krishna consciousness, which is actually a translation of Krishna Chaitanya. So he says, this is the Krishna consciousness movement. So it may be hinted at in that way, but Krishna Chaitanya. And when, as Ravartinana Prabhu was saying, that Mahaprabhu, he came to show this particular attitude of sannyas, that after he was given the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he leapt up dancing, and he and his guru embraced. Then it said that Mahaprabhu began running, but with no particular direction, sometimes to the north, and running, saying, Kahang Krishna Moranat, Prananath, Murali Vadan. Where is Krishna, the Lord of my life? Krishna who's playing the flute, where is Krishna? He was engaged in the search for Sri Krishna. He ran in the northern direction, then he would fall on the ground in his ecstasy, and then again get up and run in the southern direction, and run east, west, north, south. And by that he was showing that actually this highest plane of Krishna consciousness, it's not in any particular direction or any physical environment or social status, but it's a particular stage of consciousness. And wherever, so when he met the Dvaita Acharya, after Nityananda Prabhu had almost tricked him, deceived him by transcendental trickery, that when Mahaprabhu was running towards Vrindavan and there was the Ganges, but the western side of the river is taken to be Jamuna, Ganges, so they deceived him. Then when he saw Dvaita Prabhu, he started coming out of his internal consciousness to half external and gradually towards the external. He said, Advaita, how did you know I was in Vrindavan? And Advaita Acharya said, oh, this must be a joke. He said, how did I know you were in Vrindavan? Wherever you are is Vrindavan. That's how I can know. Wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say that as well, that he'd say, you think we're in Los Angeles, but we're in Vaikuntha. Or he would say that the temple was Vaikuntha and his garden was Vrindavan. So, on account of a particular stage of development of Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna consciousness development. So chant, dance, and take Krishna prasad. So I think that the happy time has come. We've chanted, and we've danced, but we have not taken Krishna prasad. We're following this order of our Guru Dev. Maharaj, you're going to take a little prasad.
I can help, sir.
Little.
I'd like to. Sir, says that's awesome.
Huh? Little bit. Something small.
So if you can all spread out.